and they were quarantined. A Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction written and narrated by Mira Rose. Artwork by MPKP76 on Instagram. Go give the artist lots of love. You can find a link to them in the description box below. Now, if you haven't already, don't forget to smash that like button and leave a comment in support of the YouTube algorithm. If you don't know what to comment, put Felix irritates Chloe. So, just as a trigger warning, COVID-19 is something that's serious, and if it's personally affected you and you don't think that you can make it through a fanfiction about people being quarantined, this is your chance to turn away. I realize that it's not something necessarily to joke about. However, there is always a light in dark times, and it is better to laugh at things, is what I've learned. So once again, trigger warning for COVID-19. Now then, please enjoy And They Were Quarantined, a Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction. Chloe Bourgeois. Oh, you have got to be kidding! Quarantine with this guy? But Daddy! Chloe began, protesting her impending fate. I'm sorry, dear, her father said over the phone, but I'm the mayor. I can't afford to get the virus right now. You're scared of the stupid coronavirus? Chloe yelled into the phone. Now, dear. Felix was exposed to a friend of his, and he spent the day in your suite to help you with that biology project. It's only right we keep the two of you quarantined until your results come back, or longer if we get the wrong kind of positive news. Chloe resisted the urge to throw her phone, as her father made it clear it would be a few days before she got to do as she pleased. This is all your fault, she barked at Felix, who sat smugly on her chase. Why are you yelling at a potentially sick man? He mused. Sick? Yeah, right. More like smug. Get stung by a bee, she spat, wishing for the first time her bed area had doors to slam. How could Daddy do this to her? Share a room with someone? And a man for that matter? How scandalous! Utterly scandalous. Ugh! If only it were Adrien instead. Should she get Adrien over here next time and fake COVID so he could stay with her then? That's not a half-bad idea. We were friends once, Felix began, tapping through his phone. Surely this won't be too traumatic for us to bear. You used to be cute, you know that? What do you mean, used to be? He ruffled his hair as he tipped his jawline up, legs crossed. Ugh. There's a reason I always preferred Adrien over you when we played together. Because he didn't chase you with a frog. Chloe narrowed her eyes. Don't pretend like you were doing it for anything but torture. I was simply trying to help you find your Prince Charming. Felix pressed a hand to his chest like a soprano accused of singing sharp. Oh, please. You only started the frog chase game once I started calling Adrien my prince. Felix smirked, and it irritated her. Why did he always have to be so smug? How long was she supposed to be locked up here with him anyway? So, what do you presume we do for entertainment? Oh, don't be pretentious. I'd rather hit a beehive with a baseball bat before hanging out with you. Bold words from the girl who practically begged me to do her homework. I did not beg. Chloe felt her face grow hot. Then why is it all in my handwriting? Felix held up the notebook as a growl escaped her. Give me that! Chloe tried to snatch it, but the way he swung his arm away put her off balance, and she staggered her fall by hitting the couch instead. "Curling up for a movie? Sounds darling." Felix leaned in as he spoke the last word, leaving Chloe's skin crawling. "Netflix and chill by yourself, loser," Chloe said, retreating back to her bed. This was the worst. Like, the literal worst thing that had ever happened to her. How could her father treat her like this? Ridiculous! Utterly ridiculous! She tried calling her father again, but all he did was promise to send over some snacks, which was definitely not what she wanted. She had to work for this body, and right now she was so irritated that she'd eat every bag they sent. Furthermore, what if Felix used it as an opportunity to take some unflattering photos of her and then blackmailed her? No! Ugh. No choice but to stare temptation in the face and say no. The first night was awkward, and Chloe had to honestly debate whether or not it was worth an acne breakout to leave her makeup on overnight, or remove it while Felix was sharing the room with her. She opted to keep it on, apologizing to her skin, but removed what she could from the problem areas without making herself look barefaced. Okay, this will have to do. The last thing she wanted was him snapping a photo of her without makeup and sending it to Adrien as a joke. She knew him, and he would totally do that. A knock came at the door, and, before she could open it, a person in what looked like a hazmat suit entered. "I'm here for your tests." What?" Chloe scowled. "Oh, come on, darling. Haven't you realized we haven't gotten tested yet?" Felix quipped. "But," Chloe bit herself off, knowing she'd look like a fool to protest. He was right. "Come now, I'll go first." His smug voice made her want to punch him in the throat. It'd be easy, too. Despite the facade he put up, Felix was a wimp. He'd crumple from a mere punch, although a slap could go either way. Felix sat, perfectly poised, as the technician swabbed up his nose. She could tell he was trying not to flinch. Loser. She sat, arms crossed, and glared, knowing it would make him uncomfortable. If they were going to be quarantined together, she may as well make it fun for herself, right? When her turn came, Chloe couldn't help but flinch. "What, are you digging for brains or something?" she barked. Felix chortled behind her, and she felt her face flush. Great. Not what she was going for. Retiring to bed instead of feeding his retorts, Chloe pulled the covers over her head and scrolled through her phone, endlessly upset about her quarantine situation, until sleep came, and she didn't fight it. She wanted this rotten day to be over. Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. Chloe nearly jumped out of bed, grabbing her lamp as a defensive weapon at the voice. "Who?" she began, already in a battle stance. "See, this is why Ladybug should let her keep her miraculous." "Chill, dude. Breakfast is here." Felix sat at her coffee table, already picking through the protein on his plate. No thanks," she said, setting the lamp down. She'd rather starve than eat that kind of grease. Daddy always insisted she have a hearty breakfast like this when she was sick, but she wasn't, and she hated this. "I'll order Starbucks instead." "One step ahead of you." Felix poked at the sausage on the plate. "Excuse me? I already ordered. For the both of us, that is. Your order hasn't changed, has it? A turkey bacon and egg white sandwich, sous vide egg bites, and almond milk cappuccino with honey and cinnamon on top?" Flabbergasted, Chloe didn't know what to say. Yeah? How did he know? He couldn't possibly remember it. The last time she'd shared breakfast with him, Emily was still in the Agreste Manor. What'd you get? 2 bacon, Gouda and egg sandwiches, a cheese Danish, some madeleines, and an orange juice. I hate men's metabolisms. He chuckled. I'm also like 10 centimeters taller than you. Oh, whatever. She wasn't going to get into this with him. Nice face, by the way. Huh? She turned to look in her vanity mirror and, to her horror, saw eyeliner streaked down her face, a false eyelash gone, and a giant zit the size of the Eiffel Tower poking up. To make matters worse, it was cystic acne, not a little thing she could pop and cover. That and a small trail of bumps accented her temple. Arrgh! Chloe yelled. This is all your fault! Don't raise your voice, Chloe. It's unbecoming, Felix said as he continued to read an article on his phone, unperturbed. Oh, how she wanted to rake her nails across his skin. Shut up, shut up, shut up! You don't understand! She braced herself against the vanity as she tried to not freak out. Okay, Chloe. You can do this. It's not terrible, and it's not like you're going anywhere today anyway. Just make Felix answer the door and steal his phone so he can't take photos. Yeah, just ignore him. You'll be fine. Nevertheless, tears stung her eyes as she looked at her skin. Grabbing the handle of her forbidden vanity drawer, Chloe pulled it open and grabbed her pimple patches and, with a heavy heart, began applying them to her face. At least she got the kind that looked like stars. Ugh. Even so, no makeup today. Except maybe a little concealer and mascara. Yeah, mascara would make her feel better about it. And a little lip gloss. And, well, she could do her eyebrows, too. Why bother? Felix asked, sitting on the bed behind her. Chloe whipped around, already scowling. Just leave me alone, okay? She barked. I'm just saying. It's just you and me in here, and I think you're plenty cute without makeup already. I still have to attend school, albeit online, she said. Skip it, Felix shrugged. Excuse me? I'm not some delinquent. I'm serious. Call it mental health. What, so we can escapade Paris and to lock in our young rebel status? Felix rolled his eyes. That would be irresponsible. And skipping classes isn't? I was going to suggest a game. A game? Chloe crossed her arms. There was a catch. There had to be. Felix Graham de Vanley was an extremely competitive person. What, you're not up for it? She knew that smile. That wicked, mischievous smile was behind a large chunk of her childhood trauma. I'd rather play with anyone but you. Trust me, the sentiment is the same, although it's a shame. What is? You're quite pretty when you smile. Ew. What kind of third-rate Hallmark remark was that? Uh-huh. She sighed, not bothering to engage. She knew this guy too well. So, what are we playing? It was probably Exploding Kittens or something like that. I was thinking a few rounds of Among Us. Among Us? Chloe wrinkled her nose. That game that people have been... Yep. She held eye contact with him. She hadn't played it, but knew the basics. I'll vote for you as the imposter every time. I don't doubt it. He stood up and smoothed out her bedspread. You're on. It took Chloe a few rounds to get the hang of things, but once she did, time flew. Lunch came before she expected it, warm and a testament to her enjoying her time with Felix. Ew. Although there was a special kind of glee that came with her getting her crewmates to vote him off the ship, especially when it paired with his exasperated sigh from the couch. Good. He deserved it. They ate lunch on their own terms, separate, and went through the rest of the day uneventfully. Chloe watched videos on her phone, cursing herself for not having a TV. She'd always been able to use Daddy's theater to watch YouTube videos, so she hadn't the need for it. And, once again, they slept, Felix uncomfortably on the couch, and her on her bed after a rigorous facial scrubbing. She was going to beat this breakout, even if it was the death of her. But alas, Chloe awoke to mountains and rocky patches on her face, pink and blotchy. She couldn't help herself. She cried when she saw it, both waking Felix and drawing his attention. Great. He'd probably quip about her being too sensitive to dumb beauty standards. Would it make you feel better to know we have the test results? Felix spoke up, a bit quieter than his demeanor usually called for. Get out! She yelled. She heard him shift his weight, unable to figure out his next step. We're negative. I said get out! Chloe whirled around and grabbed him by the collar. This was all his fault. Him and his faux sickness. Felix put his hands up, palms facing hers, as she continued screaming, You rat! She saw his lips twitch and knew what would follow. No, you, he said, biting back a laugh. Excuse me? You're the one with the rat tail. Excuse me? Your hair. He made a gesture, and her hands flew up to check. Sure enough, her ponytail was anything but chic, with chunks fallen out overnight and creases on the tails marking its former place beneath her hair tie. You! She hated this. Hated him. Get out! Get out! Get out! Get out! Chloe, get out! She shoved him away before jumping into her covers. Acutely aware of the noise, Chloe listened for his footsteps, but nothing came. Was he still standing? Weirdo. Not to mention rude. I said get out! She said another time, and it was met with a sigh and retreating footsteps. Good. She listened for the door, but fell into sleep before she heard it click shut. Whatever. She nearly bolted out of bed when she awoke, clutching the bedding to her chest when she realized Felix sat at the end of her bed. What are you doing? She yelled, not wanting an answer. Felix began. Get out! Calm down, honey. Felix held up a brush. What are you? Listen, I did not just spend an hour watching hair videos to hear your ungrateful chirping. Chloe, knowing what he meant, scowled. As if I'd let you anywhere near my hair. Chloe, you're like the queen of being pampered. She crossed her arms. And I said no! Felix sighed, tossing her the brush and a scrunchie. Have it your way. He stood up and left, per her request, leaving the room a bit too empty. Huh. Chloe eyed the scrunchie. Silk? He must have left to get it during her second slumber. Huh. That was nice of him. He'd come a long way from chasing her with a frog. Was she in the wrong this time? Nope. She told him to leave and he didn't listen. Good intentions, bad gesture. Okay, fine, she typed, already on her phone by the time she came to the decision. The door clicked open almost immediately to show Felix in the frame. About time, he said, smirking. I really need to tell Daddy to up the security here. Did Felix do a great job putting her hair up in a ponytail? No, not particularly, but it was nice sharing the intimacy. Done, he said, oddly proud of his work. Well? Chloe checked herself in the mirror. What happens in quarantine stays in quarantine. Felix narrowed his eyes, a slight frown on his face. Rude. And they were quarantined, Chloe muttered to herself as she laced in bobby pins, not intending him to hear. Oh my God, they were quarantined. She whipped around, too taken off guard to laugh. You did not just... No. Felix was too proud to be a Vine user. He was way too stuck up for something as uncivil and peasant-like. Rip Vine, he said. She narrowed her eyes. You secretly had an account, didn't you? That's between me and my phone. She couldn't help but smile at the news. You, Mr. Don't Distract Me from Excellence, had a Vine? It was a long time ago. I was a child. We still are children, she laughed. Ridiculous boy. Are we? He leaned forward, his presence as warm as body heat as he towered his 10 centimeters over her. Utterly ridiculous. Oh, whatever. She knew what he was trying to do. Get out. But we're quarantined. Out before you start blackmailing me again. Not grateful in the slightest. Leave while I'm in a good mood. Okay. Felix held his hands up. If you say so. It was her turn to narrow her eyes and not think too hard about what he said. Shoo! Shooing, he repeated, turning away from her and walking to the door. Bye, Chloe. Did her heart skip a beat as he turned the handle? Perhaps. He was just as handsome as Adrien, after all, although she'd never tell him. But the feeling was fleeting as a flash of his phone camera went off while he opened the door, a wicked grin suddenly on his face as he bolted, knowing full well that she wouldn't follow in her current state. That rat! That absolute scoundrel! Chloe sighed and returned to her vanity to start her skincare routine. Don't scowl, Chloe. You'll get wrinkles early. Causing wrinkles would be that weasel's true victory. He hadn't matured a bit, despite his demeanor. Whatever. Her quarantine was over, and she'd rather forget it ever happened. Yeah. Time to forget about that cute boy, Felix. Thank you so much for listening. Once again, a link to the artist in the description box. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more Miraculous Ladybug fanfictions, be it the love square or other ships, including rare pairs. If you've made it this far, don't forget to leave a like and a comment for the YouTube algorithm. If you don't know what to comment, put Chloe thinks Felix is cute. Bye! Catch you in the next one!